Hey, what's up? I'm Angie, and this is New Path Tarot, and today we're going to do a pick a card style reading where I'm going to be selecting cards for 3 different piles for you to choose from to see what of the messages are most applicable to you today. So while I am shuffling, I am going to do a little intro, but if you want to skip to where I hold up the cards, go ahead and find the timestamp below to do so. So my little intro while I'm selecting this last card is that I am currently working on an oracle deck of my own, and this oracle deck is preliminary going to be available for pre-order in a plastic form. They're going to be plastic cards, kind of just so I can get like the prototype and then see how I want to change anything and all that sort of thing. So the pre-order version of the cards is going to be $22.22, which I think is very affordable for a deck of cards nowadays, if you see how the going rate is. However, it's pretty much right at my cost level. However, at some point I do want to have them cool with like foil and all that sort of thing, but the initial version I'm going to have on my Etsy site as a link to pre-order them, and you can go ahead and check that out if you are interested. They're not out yet, but I'm working on it. It's happening. It is coming into fruition. We're pulling this in. We're making it happen. And here's the funny part about it too. For those of you who have creative projects that are ruminating in your brain, this is something I thought about for a while, but like one day I just woke up and I was like, it's happening. We're doing this. And I had the inspiration, and I was not pushing it until like I came up with some templates. I was kind of playing around with some graphics and things like that, and I've been writing lots of notes about what I want the cards to contain and then the guidebook that goes with them. But the reality of it is, it wasn't until I woke up and had that real big inspiration push that I was like, okay, we're doing this now. So keep that in mind for your own self too. If you have things that you want to do at some point, but you just haven't had the, real big push behind it yet, that's okay. Wait till it happens. But then when it does, sit down, nose to the grindstone, get it done, get it out, because that inspiration will fade again, or like the motivation energy behind it. And when it does, what it replaces with it is this feeling of kind of like, is this even good enough? Should I even do this? That's how everything happens when you have this stage of, I don't really feel like, I know I need to do this, but I don't know when. Ooh, this is now when I need to do it. Ride that wave, because otherwise then you get in the, I don't even know if I want to do this anymore, that kind of thing. And then if you wait for the next whole recycle to happen, who knows how long that'll take. Once you do get the initial push and you make some headway, then it's the 15 minutes a day where you sit there and you apply yourself. And you'll notice even if you say like, I'm going to do this 15 minutes a day, you're going to end up doing it on some days more. Other days you're not even going to get to it. The point is, keep making progress until it's finished. Okay, so now we're going to do the card selection. So here's your 3 piles. Your first card is Strength. The Strength card. The second card is the Fool. And your third card is 3 of Wands. Okay, so I'll hold them all up so you can compare them, which I sometimes forget to do, but we're doing it today. Okay. 1, 2, or 3. Strength 1, Fool 2, 3 of Wands 3. I think I held them up backwards, but you know which card goes with it, which pile, and it's in the description and the comments. Okay. All right, so let me pause this while I center myself for pile 1, and then we'll get started. And if you picked 2 or 3, then skip to your piles. Okay, just really quick before we start pile 1, I want to give a shout out to the decks that I used today. So the first one is the Weaver Tarot. That is where the initial tarot card comes from. And the second deck I'm using is Keepers of the Light Oracle cards. And that is where your second card is going to come from today. So now go ahead and skip to your pile if you haven't already. And if your pile 1, you picked the Strength card. It came out in the reversed position. So we're going to talk about strength when it is in the reversed aspect. Your supplemental card is Faith, Archangel of Faith, Humanity and Benevolence. Stay calm, trust the good in yourself and others, see the light in the world. Which, if you have been watching my other videos, seems to kind of be the theme lately, because as things are getting heavier in the world to try to help awaken everyone, if you allow that to consume you, you can be crushed by the intensity of the heaviness and the darkness in the world. So it is literally vital right now to see the light in the world. And on the Strength card itself is this star. So when it's in the upright position, there's this connection from the upper divine down through, and this is the Maya. You're down here below. By the way, I just made that up, but it makes sense because when you look at the Om symbol, there's that crescent. And I know, and I talk about all the time, that the crescent is the Maya. It's so important to remind yourself that this is an illusion all the time, not for the sake of being ungrounded, which we'll actually talk about being grounded in a moment. But it's important for perspective. It's important because it keeps you in the humanity of things and to remind you of what is really important, which is this life is finite. Is that the right word? Yes, finite. And your soul is infinite. So because we're only here for a certain amount of time, and what is really important is the interactions we have with other people as well. And what is also important is what we came here to do in this lifetime. Remembering that it's an illusion helps you not get caught up in the heaviness of it. Because here's the deal. The light is above the Maya. And so you got to bring this down. This is like cosmic source, universe, all that sort of thing. This is that, let's say, our soul, like our higher self level of things. Here's the Maya. You got to bring that down and tap into it. You got to transcend the Maya. Okay? That spark of what is the original source. And we are all connected to this. We all have this individually. We all have to bring that down. Now, when it's reversed, it's basically saying that's out of alignment or out of balance, or it needs to be more, like bring it in more, that kind of thing. Like remember it instead of it just being like this in the background kind of thing. Okay. So let's go to my notes. All right, so strength reversed. Strength in general is about resilience and determination. So when it's reversed, here's some things to do. Take note of your ego. Now, when we say the word ego, a lot of times it's in reference of like, get your ego in check, man. You got a big ego, you're overinflated ego, you know, those kind of things. Well, from a spiritual perspective, everybody has an ego. It's your name. It's how you look. It's your personality. It's your conditioning. It's all the things that make you, you. If you were born as somebody else, the you that you are would be a different you. That's the ego. And every life you've ever lived has an ego attached to it, but you are above that ego. You are not that ego. That's just a facet of you in this Maya at this time. So take inventory of your ego. Ask yourself, what is your self-worth level at this time? Do you feel that you are of a worthy level in this world or not? And to what degree are you at? Like, I am worthy to be here 100%. I feel worthy in my life 100%. You know, that kind of thing. Or what, you know, where are you at on it? And remember the fact that you are a spiritual being living a human experience, your self-worth should be 100%. And any mistakes you have made should be valued at the fact that you are a human making human mistakes, or you are a spiritual being in a 3D constraint, whatever, and you make human mistakes, and then you learn from them, and then you move on. Okay, so are you paralyzed by fear? Do you feel incapable? Or potentially, are you overconfident in your abilities? So those are two aspects that strength reverse can be. Those are two extremes, somewhere in the middle. Regardless, spend time grounding. So like I said, we're going to talk about grounding. Grounding is important when you are a spiritual individual, because you can get really high up in the spirituality and not be relatable and feel like you kind of just feel scattered and high up in the sky, and you don't feel like you're really here. Grounding is like literally a tangible thing. It's a mental thing, it's an emotional thing, but it's also like you can actually feel grounded. So if you feel scattered, if you feel all over the place, you got a lot of thoughts going on, taking time to ground yourself in all the different ways. I mean, you can Google, how do I ground myself? And I'm sure a whole bunch of stuff will come up. I'm sure there's at least one thing that you can do that will help you get more grounded. Anytime you're having anxiety feelings, ground yourself. Don't just be like, oh, I have anxiety. Do something to ground yourself. Something that relates to the 3D, something that relates to people in your life. That's usually the easiest way. Okay, so becoming really present with yourself. So this is another thing. Like sometimes if you, I guess, distance yourself from other people and then really start to break down who you are and separating the ego version of yourself from the soul version of yourself, sometimes that can bring up anxiety. So on the other hand, not to say you shouldn't do it, it's just that there needs to be a balance between grounding and focusing on yourself. So realize all the things you have already overcome, and that you have the strength and capability to overcome anything in your current and future that is adversity to you, that you're having a hard time with, that you are currently facing struggles and challenges, interactions with other people, or just situations, financial problems, whatever it is. Remembering perspective here, that this is one snapshot of point of time in your life. It is not forever. And as you progress forward, things will shift and change. And being connected to the light as opposed to letting it all condense down on you is the perspective to have when you're having difficulties and challenges and everything seems to be heavy on your shoulders. All right, skipping to faith. Okay, let me read what the book says about faith, because it's really interesting, and I didn't even know there was an archangel faith, you know. Okay. Faith is the archangel who is focused on bringing out our benevolence. She is the twin flame of Archangel Michael and is on a divine mission to help us recognize that humans are basically good and aligned with love. Just like her name, she is all about faith and trust. She reminds us that the world has taught us to believe that we are separate from love, and that if we begin to see the good in others, then we will start to cultivate a loving experience of the world around us. I'm not going to sit here on this love and light bubble. And by the way, it says more stuff, but I'll talk about it instead of reading it. You know, I'm not on this love and light bubble where I'm like, oh, only see the light, only see good, you know, that sort of thing, because it's not realistic, it's not practical, and it's not reality. So I'm not going to say do this to such a fault that it blinds you from reality, but I will say that it's a good perspective to have and keep as things get heavier and heavier in this world, because that's my opinion, is that things are going to get crazier, because not enough have awakened yet to tip the scales, not enough have awakened yet to bring down the old paradigm, not enough have awakened yet to rebuild the new. So if I had it my way, and I'm thinking from a higher perspective, I would say I know what needs to change. If you think about, like, if you look up Atlantis and Lemuria and things like that. And if you think about every, cycles repeating, history repeating itself and that sort of thing, then you kind of get where I'm going with where we're at right now with things is different than where we're going with things, or where we are, where our ideal is, even when things were normal, a few months ago and before. Okay, so the overwhelming theme here is staying calm in the chaos, trusting in the good in yourself, because you know yourself. Like, even if everything else is crazy, you know the good in yourself, or at least that's the goal here. Okay, and others. You can pinpoint certain people that you know that are good people. That's what you need to basically keep focusing on, is the good of things, and not get bogged down in the negative and bad of things. Okay, so choose to see what is light in the world. Personal transformations, if you are feeling stagnant, is the theme here. Like, you might be going through personal transformations. So Archangel Faith guides you beyond your ego limitations and fear. Notice how I haven't really mentioned it, but notice how this ties in with the Strength card. So with the Strength reversed, talking about the ego limitations and how that could be a factor in your current circumstances. And what's the last thing? Trust yourself and your connection to the light. That's the thing. That's what we keep bringing ourselves back to. If there's no light even in the world, know that there's light above the Maya, and that is what we are all connected to. Whether some people are tuned out of it or not, that's on them. But you yourself, me, and anybody else who has that divine spark in them that is active and they're currently using it, those people are all your soul family and your conduit to the higher nature of things and the reality of things. When we pass from this existence, we all return to source in our capacity of, remembrance and being more aligned with the light and all that sort of thing. So while we're down here just trying to get through it the best way we can, and all kind of helping each other in our own ways that we specialize in, according to what we have basically kind of, I feel kind of like you've been imprinted with your mission of what it is you're here to do. And once you're aligned with that, you feel like you're on track. If you are feeling stagnant right now, it's highly likely, highly possible that you need to get in alignment with that, unless you're in a pause and holding pattern. And you will know if you are, as opposed to, it's like, what you need to do, you're just not able to do it right now, is different from, I have no idea what it is that I need to do in life. So, and if you're in a stuck situation because of Strength reversed, kind of implies that can be the case. Again, remembering that you have overcome things before, you can overcome things again. And if you need to call on other people or spirit, such as Archangel Faith, that is available to you to do so, because it is a good idea to call in help when you feel it. Even if you don't believe in it, fake it till you make it. Call it in. Ask for divine assistance in all that you do, and you'll notice that, if very least, you'll feel better, if not a progression of things improving in your life when you're spirit aligned. Okay? All right, so that's it for you guys, pile 1 today, and I'm going to start with pile 2 here in a minute. Thanks. Okay. Holy moly. Okay, pile 2. The Fool is the card you chose. Your card came up in the reverse position today, which can be a good thing, actually. There's 2 ways to look at it, and honestly, when you're a tarot reader, it's a good idea to take individual cards and designate what they mean to you, because otherwise, some people will say Fool is better reversed, and other people will say it's the negative attributes when it's reversed. So I'm going along with the book of this deck for today, although in my personal readings, it varies depending on also context of what's around it and all that sort of thing. But the Fool today is sometimes the negative aspects when it's in the reverse position, in that you can be like a fool, you know, you're not thinking things through, jumping before you have all the foundation laid and the groundwork done, not looking before you leap, that kind of thing. Like if you remember the Fool card in the Rider-Waite-Smith deck, it's a guy who is obviously like a traveler because he has like the stick with the bag on it, and he's just la-di-da-di-da on his merry way, and he has his little dog with him, and he's on the end of a cliff, and he looks like he's got one foot and he's like really about to jump or walk, like he's just like not paying attention to his surroundings, and he's like just going to keep walking. That can be a good thing because it's like this idea of you keep walking and spirit will catch you. But when we look at it from a human perspective, it's like this dude's about to walk off this cliff. So think about it in the negative aspect today, just for that point, is making sure that you're thinking things through and you're looking and paying attention to the real world. Because what can happen is when this card shows up reversed, it's like you could be going through life and not really like paying attention, and you're just like literally walking day to day to day, and you're not like looking around and smelling the roses and being in the here and now. Things are just passing you by. Okay, so however, here's another part of it that it could be. So scratch everything I just said. Only you're going to know if this applies to you or the people in your life that you interact with. Okay, there's a potential fear of moving forward. Literally, like, I'm going to sit here at the edge of this cliff and I am not moving forward. I am done. I'm not doing this. And there could be uncertainty of what you need to do to reach the point where you're ready to launch. Like you're literally just like, I don't even know what's next. I don't know what to do. So realize if you're in a standstill and it has you down. That is a thing that can be happening to you now, or sometimes these cards are upcoming energies also. So if you get to a point where you've made some headway but you don't know what to do next and it's bringing you down, know that it's just a phase and it will pass. And also releasing any fears to moving forward if there are any. Okay, so then your supplemental card is Saint Germain. Okay, notice his cloak because I'm going to bring reference to that. Saint Germain, karma releasing. Move beyond drama. Create your own path. Make room for good energy. Create your own path is really important because if you follow along somebody else's path, that's not the path for you. I'm not saying you can't follow in somebody's footsteps ever. I'm just saying that this card is saying make your own path. And that means following your own internal compass of which way to go with things. Moment by moment, decision by decision, you're following your internal compass. Sure, you can ask somebody else for their opinion and advice, but ultimately you have to trust your own inner guidance and wisdom because you don't know to what degree they're tapped into the higher consciousness. So if you are like, well, they are tapped in the higher consciousness, so I'm going to ask them their opinion. Yeah, sure, they might give you a good answer, but the ideal goal is working on your own inner wisdom to trust your own inner guidance to the point where you don't need to consult with other people. Okay. You know, going and getting a reading from somebody like me is good to a point, but at some point, unless you're just wanting to validate what it is that you got of your own, you know, you want to be doing your own and you're the reader, even if you don't do it for a living, you know what I mean, right? Okay, let's talk about karma real quick. So there's good karma and bad karma. A lot of times karma is associated with being a negative thing. You're like, oh man, they're going to get their karma, or this is happening to me probably because in a past life I was a bad person or something like that. Well, maybe, who knows? But there's also good karma. So I don't know if you knew that or not, but let's say in a past life you were a really, really good person, helped a lot of people and that sort of thing. You can have attributed or accumulated positive karma that comes forward with this life also. These are people who just, no matter what, they seem to like everything lines up for them and they have an easy life and things like that. Again, not saying, because there's multiple components to things, and there's an element of choosing which life you're born into also for reasons of lessons and things like that. But I am going to say we're talking about karma, so that's the hot topic right now, that there's bad karma and there's good karma. But it's the spiritual law of cause and effect. So if you're just going through life, going through the motions and not really making any choices, you're not actually developing any karma. But if you're making negative choices and you have a routine of every day you do this negative thing, every day you do this negative thing, and it's going to accumulate. If you do one thing one time, it's probably not going to have, it's not going to be like, oh, God's going to smite you. It's more like the continual choices and habits that you have, good or bad. Okay, so there's many levels of karma that we experience in this lifetime. We also can inherit ancestral karma. So that's a thing too. They always say go 7 generations back. Now, I did my ancestry, and it only goes 4 generations back. And if you look at my whole family tree of 4 generations back, I mean, it goes way far out. So imagine even 3 more on top of that. And then anybody in my 4 generations up and down to my level of things and lower, me having kids and all that, show up on this family tree thing. And it's really cool to see, actually. I don't know who the heck that is. Wow, they have all these different last names and everything. Okay, so back to this. Saint Germain is here now to clear your energy. So you are no longer to have the weight of the world on your shoulders. You are releasing old patterns and leaving your life. Wait, hold on. How did I word this? Whatever. You're releasing old patterns. Old patterns are leaving your life. You're creating space for new to enter. So visualize this cloak around you, and that it will release all of your karma that you no longer need. Not to say it's going to release all your karma. You can't be like, release all of my bad karma. You can say it, but it's only going to release what you don't need at this time. Ideally to help pave your path to be lighter. Okay, so this goes really nicely along with the full reversed, because if there are negative karmic things, remember what I said? It's like, you might not know why you're full reversed, but this is like going to help you even on a subconscious level. Do you know like 98% of what's going on in your brain is subconscious? So whether you believe in this woo-woo stuff or not, envision this purple cloak around you, not just any cloak, but the cloak of Saint Germain around you, and release away from your energy field any negative karma that you no longer need, and go from there. Sometimes it helps to do things repeatedly, because you just do it one time and you forget about it. Will it stick? Yeah, maybe. Sure, especially if you have strong intent. The stronger your intent, the more it's going to be impacted, and you really could just do it once. But if you kind of feel like you're not giving your all when you're doing this meditation, then it would help to do it repeatedly. Okay, really quick, I just want to read from the book about Saint Germain, just, knowledge about who he is. So Saint Germain was born in France in the 18th century, and is said to have given a new identity, and is said to have been given a new identity because he was the love child of 2 very powerful people. He was well educated and able to rub shoulders with royalty. He was also deeply interested in music, alchemy, and the cosmos, and able to perform real-life miracles and turn lead into gold. I want to go back to this whole thing about he was given a new identity because he was the love child of 2 very powerful people. I want to look into that more, because it's like it like put it out there, and I'm like, tell me more, and it's like moving on. And I'm like, I want to know what you're talking about. Okay. now I can't talk. Sorry, some of these videos I like get so froggy when I'm talking, and I hate it. Okay. Now he helps us move beyond social limitations to connect with the right people for the highest good. So he was able to rub shoulders with the right people. And this is kind of like talking about you being able to move beyond social limitations and connecting with the right people for the highest good. Putting you in line with somebody who you might not normally have anything to do with or come into contact with, but it's like not only do you come in contact with them, but something that you have to say or offer, it's like we're all just people kind of thing. He is still a master alchemist and able to turn us. I can't read. He's still a master alchemist and able to help us turn whatever is leaden in our life into something that is golden. His twin flame is Lady Portia, and he is the keeper of the violet flame, the powerful etheric retreat where we can release karma. So remember about the purple cloak thing? I've never heard that before, so I wanted to give you guys that visualization from the book. What I've actually heard is, let's say you're doing any kind of energy healing and you have somebody's physical body there, and you're scanning their energy body, and you come to an area that might have some sort of like stagnant block or something like that. And you can do this for your own self too, but basically you're taking any kind of, more darker or stagnant energy, and you have a violet flame allocated to putting the energy into that. I've heard of that before. So it transmutes whatever it is that you're throwing into it into light, or sending it to the light, or whatever, the transmutation process has to do for that certain thing. So that's another visualization you can use as well. Anytime you're doing energy work, it's a good thing to set up some kind of sacred space, like 5D, 3D overlay over the 3D, to protect the space, clear out any negative energy. Not, you're protecting it from any negative energy getting in while you're doing a healing session, because, you're doing energy work. Of course, it's dealing with energy. So, you get like maybe people who have crossed over, who are like trying to connect with you to tell their loved ones messages and stuff, and you're just like, hey, I'm sitting here trying to heal this particular person's energy body. You can go away now. It can be messing with you. Also, if you're doing meditation, if you're doing readings, if you're doing anything energetic based, heck, if you're even walking around the world, put an energy bubble around your car, that sort of thing. But remember, in your reading, that this hasn't come up yet, but when you're working with energies like this, you got to stay grounded. So make sure, if you're doing something where you're working with really high energies, you're balancing it out when you're done with it by going and grounding yourself. One of the good ways to do that is actually eating food. So in your reading, I'm coming up with this. However, eat something that is going to fill your body in a positive way. Remember, we're making positive choices. So let's say normally you would eat this thing and it might not be necessarily good for you. After you're doing some kind of energy work or whatever you're doing to ground yourself, maybe consider eating fruit or a salad or something, even if you don't normally do so, just for the purpose of it kind of continuing on with fueling your body in that positive karmic way. Remember, eating animals is technically absorbing their karma. If they were killed in an inhumane way, if they were raised in an inhumane way, you're absorbing that karma. So actually, that's probably why I went on the topic of food without realizing that it was going to turn into that. Not to say I don't eat meat, but before you eat it, do the whole violet flame thing, and say something to the effect of transmuting the negative karma that may have attributed from you eating this food. Okay, cool. So moving on to pile 3. You pile 2 people, have a great day. Bye. Okay, pile 3. You selected the 3 of Wands. It came out in the upright position today, which is awesome. So this card in the regular Rider-Waite-Smith deck has a guy with his back towards you, and he is looking out. He's like up high elevation, and he's looking out Some say this is waiting for the ships to come in. I've heard that saying. That is not the take of this deck, like what they have come up with, so I'm going to go with that today as we talk about this card. So we're talking about opportunities, expansion, and actions. So this is like an amazing card to get. You are on the right path. You have laid the necessary groundwork for your venture to be successful. Plans you have created have provided the perfect container for you to take action and move forward. So if you're sitting here listening to this and going, what is she talking about? This is nothing along my life. This is an energy to be in. So this is like especially a contrast to pile 1, somewhat pile 2 as well. Your pile 3, you're either in this energy already or this is the energy to step into. Okay, so new or unexpected opportunities might come to you. And when they do so, not all opportunities are created equal. You are supposed to choose what is for your long term and what is in alignment with you. Don't make decisions that are for quick results and that are out of alignment with your core work. And this can mean rapid expansion, and it could put you out of your comfort zone. But as long as it is in alignment with you and your long-term goals, that means it's meant for you. But be calculated going forward. Anything that comes to you, this is your time to make sure that you are making choices that are in your truest alignment. Spirit can test you. The universe can send things to you, and just to make sure that you're like on the up and up and you're not sitting here going, ooh, I'll take this because it's easy and it's quick. Ooh, I'll do this because it's my comfort zone. Not anymore. That's not the case with you guys, pile 3. So if you're not already there, you might get something thrown at you that's new and unexpected. Do the right thing when you get it. Do the right thing for you. We're not talking about making choices for other people. That's old energy. You're making choices for you because you're here to do something amazing, and you can't do anything amazing if you're in old energy. In with the new. Okay, your supplemental card is Master Buddha. Increased awareness. Deep connection. Trust your inner voice. Okay, before I go on to this card, I forgot to mention something about the 3 of Wands, which is talking about, let me go back to it real quick. Check in with your body. What does a yes feel like in your body? What does a no feel like? Get to know your internal compass so when opportunities come to you, you can make informed and aligned decisions. Staying grounded within yourself and your vision will prevent you from being carried away. I mean, I talk about this all the time, but one tip for you guys that might be relevant to you is to do muscle testing. So there's many ways you can do muscle testing. I'm not going to give you like a crash course on it, except to say, ask yourself what a yes feels like. Ask yourself what a no feels like. Yes is light and expansive. No's heavy and closed in. And therefore, when something comes to you, don't just say yes. Ask yourself first if it's a yes. Don't just say no. Check in if you're having fear about it because it's, something out of your comfort zone. And then if it's still a yes, despite the fear, then you're working through the fears of it. It's really important to know sometimes things bring up fear because they're not in alignment. Sometimes things bring up fear so that you can work through it. You know what they say when you get offered a job that you don't know how to do it? Say yes and figure it out. Because I'm not saying if you're not qualified, take it, but you know what I mean, right? Like if it's like, we need somebody who knows how to build a website, and you're like, I don't know how to build a website, but I'll figure it out. And it's like, you can learn this skill. You can do this. You're qualified. You're a smart person. You can do this. That's your pep talk. Okay, I'm going to read you about Buddha. The Buddha started his life as a rich, mollycoddled, I don't know what that means, mollycoddled prince, But one day he broke free from the palace and was exposed to sickness, age, and death. This shook him and set him off on a spiritual adventure that would lead him to leave behind all earthly pleasures and seek enlightenment so that he could end suffering in the world. Now, let me put this in perspective. Okay, so he was sheltered away from, like it said, sickness, age, and death. Apparently, he had only been exposed to certain things, and so when he went out in like the market, the town that of the people that he lived, he was like, what the hell is this? Like, it really, can you imagine the reality shift? I mean, he says he was shook. He was like, what the hell? So after this experience, he realized, I mean, obviously he went out to do this because he wasn't happy to begin with. There was something lacking in him. And he was like, my cushy life right here is not giving me fulfillment. I'm going to go see what that's all about. Then he was inspired to live his purpose. Now, here's the thing also. Oh, crap. Actually, I forgot. My brain like will have this glimmer of something that comes in and then boom, it's gone. Okay, so he had the goal of ending suffering in the world. Now he helps us make contact with our inner teacher and encourages us to acknowledge how we feel and then accept it so that we can move beyond the suffering that we feel. Because, believe it or not, being born in this world does come with a degree of suffering to some extent, some worse than others. Some literally are born into the world and experience suffering from the get-go with malnutrition, starvation, hunger. So that's just one way. If you have a bleeding heart for people who are in a poverty type life, and if you don't know this already, I'm from the US, so 1 in 5 children go hungry in the US every day. I looked at my statistics of who watches my channel, and most of the people who watch my channel are actually Canadian. So if you are Canadian, shout out to you. I don't know what your poverty is in Canada. I'm going to go ahead and assume it's better than the US though. US comes with its own degree of problems which absolutely need to be addressed. The world as a whole is just a freaking mess, We here are the light workers that are to help fix this crap, So there is suffering in the world. Buddha tells you to move beyond the suffering that you feel. Therefore, you can do your Buddha-like nature of helping other people and that sort of thing. Remember, the goal is to achieve enlightenment, but after you achieve enlightenment, you're still here living in this world to help other people achieve enlightenment. So even if you have not yet attained enlightenment, doesn't mean you can't do what you're here to do and continue on your path despite that. Oh, I do remember what I was going to say now about this whole story of Buddha being in the palace and then going out to the real world. It reminds me of Aladdin story. She's in the palace. She wants to go out into the town, and she's been living a sheltered life. She goes out into the town and then she meets Aladdin, and she's supposed to marry a prince, but she has this connection with this kid who she's not supposed to, and then he sits here and tries to pretend to be something he's not because he had the connection with her, but obviously due to rules and regulations, status quo and all that sort of thing, he has no chance. So, cute little story, but it's kind of has starting similarity with the Buddha story. Okay, so I forgot to take notes from the Buddha message, but I'm just going to read it to you. You are moving beyond the illusions that fear has created so that you can be more focused on your priorities and what is serving you on this path. All suffering eventually comes to an end, and acknowledging how you really feel and what occurred in order for you to feel this way will help you move beyond it. Call on Master Buddha now to help you remember you are part of something that is greater than suffering. The wheel of karma is turning in your favor, and all your acts of kindness and goodness will benefit you. Thoughts may arise now that solve issues in your life, home, relationships, or work. They are being sent to you from your inner teacher, the Buddha within. If one person does something, it's collectively available to all. That is how psychic readings work anyway. You know, I'm me, you're you. Through a collective consciousness, I can tap into your stuff and give you information from your guides and your ancestors and whoever else is connected to you energetically in spirit form. And so too can you connect with any of these deities, or you know, whatever they're called. They're keepers of the light. So remember that this is the thing about this deck, keepers of the light, is they keep the light. They're always there, you know, their expression of things. You, as this kind of blank slate, can say, I need this from this one, I need that from that one. But you yourself, if you were to be, you know, your name, and you're like a keeper of the light on a card, you know, would be kind of cool, right? Picture of you and little, what do you stand for, you know, that kind of thing. Obviously this is after the Buddha attained enlightenment, and nobody actually knows what the Buddha looked like, because he was really adamant about, don't make a statue of me. And yet what did we do? We made a statue of Buddha. But you know what I mean. So you, if you're pile 3, are a keeper of the light. Don't think that the power is out of you. That's why it's really important that you picked the Buddha card, because with your 3 of Wands card, it's implied that you're like, you've already worked through this stuff. Now you're on the next path of helping other people. It goes along with the tarot message. It goes along with the Buddha message. So you just stay tapped into your keeper of light vibe, and you just go do what it is you came here to do, and recognize there's suffering in the world. Recognize even your own suffering, but then you're supposed to transcend it. Remember, you are not your ego identity. You are not what you are born into in this world. You are a soul, and that soul nature of you is not a suffering, you know, entity. You are something that is light. So anything that has muddled up the light down here is temporary. That's how you rise above the, I was trying to say above and beyond at the same time, the illusion of the ego, so that you can be your Buddha nature and whatever other keeper of the light you want to identify at the time, because it serves you for that time frame. Okay, cool. Awesome. All right, well, I'm done for the day, and you guys have a great day. See you later.